Hi Scrubs, I hope you're well.
Hello, you awesome people.
Hello, Statham.
And welcome back to the Soul Riders podcast. We're back. April has passed. And last time we talked about game lore, which was really interesting. With Esmeralda Silverforce, which was an awesome guest. And we will surely have her back in future. Or anything like the lore queen. Come on. But that was last episode. We have a new episode, which is like this new big phenomenon we have in the community, and that is Star Stable role-playing on social media. Which is what I'm talking about. That I'm meaning Instagram, YouTube, maybe blogs. I haven't seen any blogs, but social media. So not in the game, but outside the game. And we, of course, have a guest, and it is none other than Evelyn Birchlund.
Hello!
Hey! You are big on Instagram. Like, you said 25k followers?
Only 20. Come on.
Oh, 25. It could have been 25. It should be 25. Because I am following your story, and it is amazing.
Thank you.
So, I am sort of the one that was like, can we have her as a guest, please?
Well, thank you.
Yes, and you're here, so just give a little presentation of yourself.
Okay, my name is Evelyn Birchlund. I started playing Star Stable in about September of 2016, so for about 3 years. But with roleplay, I started just in this last year of September 30th. And my story is about the life of a Jorvik ranger named Evelyn Birchlund, and pretty much just her mishaps, triumphs, and adventure that happens with her. It's pretty much just a story about overcoming obstacles and, I don't know, for me, becoming a better person. I use Instagram to do it, but I know a lot of people can use YouTube, and I think some people use like blogs, but I just use Instagram because it's easy.
Okay. So you have your Instagram account with Evelyn Birchlund that is mostly about your story, or is it like a mixed of feed?
No, it is just about my story.
Okay, so do you have another Instagram account?
I don't.
You don't? Okay, very interesting. Okay, but great to have you here. So happy. Okay, so April has passed. I have one question that I need answered first. TC, have you painted?
I have started it, but it's not finished.
My goodness. Okay, so you started painted.
Yeah.
What else have you been up to?
Oh gosh. I don't know where April's gone, honestly. Whenever I woke up, I was like, I feel like we were talking to Esme yesterday.
Yeah, exactly, actually.
I've had a couple of series end on the channel, and then some that I'm going to pick up again in future. There's one big project that I'm working on at the minute for YouTube, and I can't wait until it's posted because I think it's going to be really awesome. It's not for Star Stable, but I'm looking forward to it. In terms of what I've been doing in April, I had planned to live stream, obviously, and it hadn't really happened. I'm going to live stream later, obviously. People will see this after that. But yeah, I had a problem with my Audacity, and not just my Audacity, but it was OBS and Streamlabs, and I sounded like a demon.
Oh.
And it happened really randomly. Because I went live, and then people were like, what's up with your voice? And I was like, wait, what? And I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you sound like a demon. And then I went and listened to myself on YouTube, and I was like, oh my god, okay. And then I sat and tried to fix it, and then realized I couldn't fix it, so I just had to end the live stream, and then I hadn't live streamed since. But I finally fixed it. It wasn't an easy fix, but I got it sorted eventually. So I have to basically pick that back up, because I've kind of dropped from doing regular live streams, not doing any at all. In terms of what I've been doing in the game, just keeping up with the updates. So I finished the Rescue Ranch, I think, last month, because I know it would come out like last September, I think, if I remember, and everybody was like, why are you doing this now? Because when it came out, I didn't get to do it the day it came out, and then I kind of was like, I'm just going to leave it. I will do it, but I'm just going to leave it for now, so I left it for ages. So I finally finished that, and then the only other thing that I've done is I had 2 club events, I think. We had one which was cross-country, where we used the dice. And then I got to do my first ever dressage lesson in the game yesterday.
How'd it go?
So, I really enjoyed it, actually. It was, like, really different to what I've ever done, what we've ever done before. It was actually hosted by a different club, One Unicorn. Glade Swallows hosted it for us, and them. So that was really fun, because it was like, okay, you need to do this move, and then I would turn and just hit the wall. It was funny. We got a little bit better over time, but yeah, I enjoyed that. It was,
so when
it was
you
fun
mean
and different.
dressage, is it like real dressage, or is it more, what is it called? It's called quadrille in Swedish.
Oh, I don't have a clue what it's called in Swedish.
But it's like when it is a lot of people doing a dressage movement at the same time.
Yeah, the same program, I think.
Yeah.
You call it dressage. I do know there is another English word for it, so it's actually quite frustrating when people say dressage, because I'm thinking a solo person performing moves.
Yeah.
Well, see, what we did first was she wanted to teach us the movements. So it was essentially a lesson in that we would be watching her club, because her club does it all the time.
Yeah, okay.
And then we would be following them and imitating what they were doing until we understood all the basic moves that they did. And then we'd know the cues. And then after we'd all learned the basic cues, then we were put into different pairs. So, groups. So it'd be one from her club and one from my club, and then they were left to make up a routine together. Like that. Then there was, I think, I was judging at that point, so I wasn't doing it at that stage, but that's what we did. I don't know whether you would just call it, I don't know actually what you would call it, other than I just called it dressage. I mean, I know it's not solo dressage, but I would call it like group dressage or something like that.
Horse dancing.
It kind of is horse dancing.
Quadrille. It's quadrille.
Okay. I have no idea what that is.
That's a word in English, but that's usually used for like team people dancing, like a quadrille.
But I've seen it in horses as well.
See, I would think of like synchronized swimming, so synchronized dressage. That's what I would think of.
But it's called quadrille. Maybe it's an English thing.
I don't know.
Quadrille is a choreographed dressage ride commonly performed to music, which is often compared to a equestrian ballet or to a drill team. There you go! It's called quadrille, people! Can we stop calling it dressage?
Well, we've noticed this, though. We've noticed the differences between servers. Like, there's some really big differences in different regions. We've seen this, like, even just talking.
No!
Rose is gonna come to the UK servers and just like...
No, now, people, now we'll sit down and talk about this. Can we just... No. Yes. I just need to find my way to the English server. I'm too late for that. Okay, so you've done that. Okay, we're dropping that. We're not.
So yeah, that was the last thing that I did in Star Stable this month.
Okay. And what have you been up to, Cece?
Well, I've been working, so yeah, I finally got a job.
Hey, congratulations!
Thank you. So yeah, it's been, working and getting used to, your daily routine.
Yeah.
And I go up pretty early every day, so it's been quite a while to get used to.
Yeah.
Getting up at 4:45 every morning. It's really weird to end work at 10:30 in the day, because then you have like the whole day still, still there. It's so weird. So I get like really long days. But when it comes to Star Stable, I haven't been playing super much. I've been like checking in the updates and so. So yeah. And the club, Rosie, Comet Talks has been disbanded. So
it's not really disbanded. The thing is that it's not an active club anymore.
Yeah.
So now it is more like a club where people can just be. for the moment, because the owner, she's not looking for a new club herself, and she doesn't want the invitations all the time, so she's keeping the name, but it's just not common talks as it used to be.
Yeah, so yeah, I've been sad about that.
Yeah.
It's been a bit weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't been playing much since that. But yeah, I actually joined another club yesterday. Happy Birds, that Hannah, a former member of Comic Talks, has recently started up. So I'm excited to see where that leads.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's cute, like Happy Birds, Comic Talks.
Yeah. Not Angry Birds, it's Happy Birds.
I would love that. It'd be so funny though.
Okay, well, good luck to you. I myself is probably gonna stay on the Comic Hawks name for a while. April, as we said, has passed by so quickly.
Yeah.
I have been working at my internship that I started at, and it has been tons of fun, and I'm learning tons of new stuff, and yeah, it's been great. I have also been at a conference for in another city here in Sweden, so it's great. I get to see work, basically, how people work, like for real. And I am also job hunting, and I spend time with friends and family when I have the time. All that while I still try to keep my platforms running, which is probably the hardest part at the moment. Especially my blog, that is being ignored the most, sadly, since it is also the platform where it all started. But yeah, I'm having a bit of trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that. And I also now realize that it's rare that I play for fun. Like last night, I told myself, okay, now I'm going to be completely off. Not gonna think about my platforms or anything like that, and I logged in to just train my horses. And I just realized that it has been so long since I did that. Like, not log in and not think about recording or anything. Like, every time I logged in before, it's because I need to record.
I think that can happen, and I think it can ruin it a bit.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important that you don't, because like last night whenever I was doing the dressage thing, that was just, I was there to just try it and just be, and it was great. I really liked that. It was just silly, us, because the fun bit was like, my club had about as much experience doing it as I did, so it was just like, okay, turn, and then you just hit the wall, and then they'd be doing it fine, and we're like, oh my god, we're ruining this routine.
But I'm so sorry. But yeah, I'm trying to figure things out, see my balance, but it is also causing a bit of stress, and as you said, ruining the fun, not only with playing the games, but also ruining the fun of actually having all these platforms a bit. Which I don't want, because I do love recording and all that stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, I just need to figure things out. But other than that, the sun is shining, and so am I. Because I have a life, and I like having a life. So, but you, Eve, we have to first. Where are you from?
I live in Utah, in the United States, and it is also finally sunny. The first day the sun came out, I got sunburned because I was so excited to be outside.
You have to be careful, people.
It was worth it.
Okay.
But I don't know, me. I'm actually a stay-at-home mom because I'm super old and lame. But but I also do graphic design on the side. And this last Easter, I worked for part-time our newspaper here, and I finished up a coloring book that I illustrate, and it was super fun. There's bunnies and stuff, super cute. But mostly we've been getting ready to go to England, and I go to England tomorrow, and I'm super, super excited.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're coming here to Europe!
I am! Surprise! I'm coming to see you guys.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, actually, you're seeing TC.
Yes.
You should have taken a big leap to Sweden and like say hello to Star Stable. But okay,
I would love to.
next trip.
Next trip for sure.
Great. We'll have a lovely trip.
Oh, thank you.
So that has been April for all of us. We usually do say though that the month passed by very quickly. I'm looking forward to that episode where we go like, oh, this month never ended.
I am slightly too, because like this one, I am not joking. Like there has been ones that have gone quickly, but this went ridiculously fast.
Yeah. It's insane. Okay, but topic role-playing and realistic role-play. And before we get into the question, we should actually make clear what this is, because some of you listeners might actually not know what this is, which would be quite amazing because this is like huge now. So role-playing, it's not new for most of you. There are probably a lot of role-playing in the game, like a lot of people asking globals who wants to RP blah 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 and who wants to RP that and meet me there, RP 123 and all that. Yes. But here is outside the game, as I explained in the beginning. This happens on Instagram, on YouTube, blogs maybe. And the difference between role-playing and realistic role-play, what has been told to me, because I had no idea this was a difference before, but apparently it is. Realistic role-play is basically that you do it that you make the setting in your story as realistic as possible, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And role-playing leaves the freedom of creating a world that is not that realistic.
Definitely.
Yes, and I believe that realistic roleplay is more common in the in the Star Stable community than the other. Which I would have to say I would like to see more fantasy roleplay.
I've actually thought about doing that.
You heard it here first, people. Right.
Like, okay, I'm gonna let you in on this.
Yeah, no.
Like, okay. I'll keep it quiet.
Okay. You can tell us later.
Okay.
Only we know. Oh well. Was there something else I was going to explain about this, or did I say what we're supposed to explain?
Yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah, that seems about right. Good. And we're continuing. Oh, right. Now I remember what I was going to ask. What is our own experience about role-playing and realistic role-play? We sort of do know now, Eve, that you are the realistic role-play queen, so I'm not going to ask you. Because you're the guru here today. So I want to listen to Cici. What is your experience?
Well, I used to roleplay a lot in the game when I started out playing a lot of years ago. And I think I tried to roleplay on my blog a time ago. I started to write a short story about one of my alternative accounts. But yeah, I was like so afraid that people would like steal it or something, I don't know.
Okay.
So I was like, no, I don't want to,
Oh, okay.
Because there was a lot of, art theft and stuff going on.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I was a bit turned off by that. Other than that, I love role-playing games. Like Dungeons and Dragons, I play a lot. So I wouldn't say I have that much role-playing experience on social media, really.
Yeah, okay.
More like outside.
Yeah.
Okay.
And TC?
I probably, I would say out of everybody here, probably done it the least. Because I've never, like, I think the only time that I accidentally ended up was in a roleplay. It was one time somebody messaged me and said something to me, and I thought they were having a conversation with me. And then after about 5 minutes, I was like, hold on, none of this makes any sense. And I was like, are you roleplaying? And then I was like, okay, I don't want to, and I didn't get the memo, so no thanks. I think that's the only thing, because it was like, I was kind of concerned because of how traumatic this was. I was just like, I think you should,
get help.
Get help. because it was something where I was like, I don't think that's a good thing, you know. And then I realized after a while, I was like, hold on, this is not. They're talking to me like they're having a role play, but I didn't realize. So I was just like, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, like, this is awkward now. Bye.
Yeah. So. Yeah, like it's not. I think the thing is, right. Like I talk to my horses like I would talk to a real horse. And things like that. So in that regard, you could consider that in a way, indirectly, but it's not a conscious decision for me, if that makes sense. I guess, like, because I just talk to my horses and things like that, like I would, as I said, if they were real. So for me, I don't really do anything like that. I guess I don't know why. I guess that maybe it's just I like the escapism of it. Maybe that's me. I suppose because I suppose whenever we're talking about fantasy and that, I like the fantasy side more. So I guess for me, that's partially why. Like, because I see some really amazing things like that people do with this, and I'm like, wow, because there's like a lot of work in, and the edits are amazing, and I'm just like, that's phenomenal. And I'm just like, I'm just gonna pretend that I'm still a skeleton. So like, if I tried to do realistic RP, can you imagine the laughter there would be?
Well, yeah, with your makeup and yeah,
because somebody asked me to do a realistic roleplay video a while ago, and I have been thinking about it, but I was also going, there's nothing realistic about this. Like, just look at this face. Like, no.
You will have to change, and that will never happen, people.
Yeah. So, I have an idea, but we're gonna wait and see if that materializes. But yeah, other than that, that's the only hint I'm gonna give.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's all. Really,
yeah.
in that regard.
Well, for myself, I have sort of started a. Is it really? Yeah, it should be. I started my live. What is it called? The real life of Rose Shadowlee, which is like a small short story videos. Like the latest episode is where my dog Rambo goes missing. It's gone. And in the next episode, you will see what will happen. But that is sort of, I'm sort of mixing that my avatar Rose Shadowlee does have a story, binding it together that she is a soul rider who started a horse from Lelouch. Yeah, that probably started it everything that I started to change my starter horses. And I just couldn't change it and change the name without having a story behind it. Yeah. So I did a video of it and all that. So I think that sort of happened. But it's not a pure role play like you do, Eve, basically. So it's more giving my own avatar like a real personality and a life on Jorvik, other than that is happening in Quest, basically. But it's still sort of, it's role playing. But yeah, that's it. So that is our experience, and as I said, Eve has huge of experience, which will be, as I've seen in all comments we have gotten, people are requesting a lot of answers that you will give us later on. Yes. But first, as usual, we go into the questions where we all get to answer. That is more, we want everyone's input. And we will start with, do you like role-playing accounts on Instagram, blogs, YouTube, and why is that? Let's start with you, Eve.
Oh, me. I am definitely about Instagram. For me personally, like, making it's way easier. I'm not a big video person, and with, like, realistic roleplay, because edits are kind of a big deal in it, editing video would be a monster task.
Depends on how high, how big you want it. Yeah,
exactly. So definitely Instagram. I like it too because I can just go on and see other people's stuff constantly. I get updates about people that I like to follow, and it's just super easy that way.
Yeah. I have to say, this is something that is slowly growing on me. And I'm really liking the stories on Instagram. As you said, it's easy to get access to. And it is mostly because of the very pretty edits, which calls my attention at first and makes me want to read like what is going on in the edit. and that is how I sort of jump into the story. I haven't been able to like be there when the story started. It's mostly me jumping into a story, and I am too lazy to start from the beginning. I just where I am. But I am liking this. I have seen some videos on YouTube, and I am amazed because I do YouTube, and these role-playing YouTubers they put in so much effort into it. And I mean, my short videos that I do, they are short because I don't have the energy to make them bigger. But it's something. So I like it, and that is why. I think it is because of just all the work that is put into it, and it is amazing. And also on Instagram there is a text, so it's not just the edit of the picture, it is also the craftment of text. That is very important to me. But what do you think, TC?
For me, I think I'm slightly more particular, like because there's been such an explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
If I go through my feed, I do try to keep my feed kind of limited. But what I would say is, like, when I see something, I'm like, oh, it looks interesting, go have a look. But I've noticed, like, on Instagram, I'm getting recommended roleplay ones all the time.
Yeah.
At the minute, like, constantly. Like, if I look through my feed, you know, there could be 30 posts that are, like, suggestions of people to, you know, new follow. And I think I like when I see something that stands out to me. Whether it's particularly good edits or, you know, the story as well, because I think that there are certain trends that I have seen, like, for certain storylines, and, you know, I'm just kind of like, there's a point where it becomes so overused and so highly saturated, and I think that's kind of starting to happen at the minute. So for me, it's like when something really stands out, whenever it's either there's really, really good writing, or the edits sort of lifted as well. I think it has to kind of be a combination. I have noticed actually that some people have started to do really interesting things, like being a tack shop or being a veterinary clinic. You know, because there are a lot of people who have done, I suppose, like, you know, I own this stable or this stable, and, like, I know that if I was trying to think the other day, if I was to do something like this, because I knew we were doing this topic, I was like, what would I choose? And I thought, this is a really hard question, actually. What would you choose? Because you don't really want to choose what somebody already has, but at the same time, you want to make it kind of unique. So I think it's very, very tough. Kind of getting into it at this point, like, for people. But to me, good writing is really, really a big thing. Because to me, even if you're using a storyline that maybe you've seen in other places, it has to be believable. Because, you know, that's the thing, like, even if you watch shows on Netflix, like, I have watched some shows on Netflix where I've seen this storyline used before, but it's so well done and written that you just believe it. And then I've seen other occasions where it's like, I don't believe this for a second. You know, after everything this character has gone through, why would you make that choice? You know, I think it's very important that you know who your character is, their backstory, you know, what they've been through, how they're going to make choices, because how they make choices, especially with the roleplay, I think, is not necessarily how you'd make a choice, unless your character is very much centered around you. So I think that's important, and I think that's what I would pick up on whenever I'm like... But as I said, like, I've only really started to become more aware of, like, a lot of these over the, like, past few weeks, and there isn't a lot that I follow at the minute, but I kind of want to start, you know, doing that, because I'm curious, like, with what a lot of people are doing. So, yeah, I guess that's where I kind of sit on that.
Okay. Interesting. Cece.
Yes.
Thank you. Now I was like, who hasn't answered?
I think they're great. There are so, as mentioned, many different types of role playing, and I really love it. I've always loved reading, writing, and making up stories. So I really love this trend, and it's a very fun way to be creative and you know, just expand on your Star Stable experience. So yeah, I think it's really cool, and I would actually love to try myself, but yeah it's kind of hard to just start. It's a big project.
We might get some answers for that later on. Just stay tuned, people. Okay, so going forward to the next question. Why do you think this has become such a big thing in the Star Stable online community? And I'm gonna start because I feel sorry for you all. It is such a hard question. Why did I write this? I blame myself. But I will try to answer, and you can just answer what. What I was thinking is, well, the community has always loved taking pictures in the game and do edits to post on Instagram. It's all basically how the Instagram community started in the beginning. Just we wanted to share our edits and pictures. So we could already see the players' creativity. It was only a matter of time before the writing started to become a big part as well. Like, it's gonna happen. Yeah, exactly. I can imagine that someone just one day randomly started to write an RP and it turned into something, and now it is so big. It's a big thing that it needs more preparations.
Yeah.
And so it just gradually got to the point where we are today, and no one saw it coming. But it is here, people, and we're so happy. Eve, why do you think this has become such a big thing?
So I can actually give you a little hint of like how it started. There was at least how I found out about it is first because I had an Instagram where you just like post pictures and like back in clubs you'd be like, look, this is us doing dressage or whatever that word was that you called it.
Quadrille.
And I was on there just browsing one day, and people had started doing competitions, because competitions have always been, I think, a big thing, even live. Like you do live quadrille competitions and things like that. And so someone had made this thing called Kensington. And Kensington was an eventing competition that you would post a picture and they would judge it, and they picked a winner at the end. And people saw that, and people would talk about it, at least on the North American servers, about Kensington, like, I'm participating in Kensington. And I saw that, and that was like, that's super cool. And that's how I started. It was just competition, and then it slowly became, let's make a story about our person competing. But I think a big deal for like why people are doing it too, at least for me, was I've already like completed everything in the game. It's not a necessarily hard game. So after you're done, you're kind of like, well, now what? What do I do? And so for me, it was like, oh, hey, I can keep still playing this game that I really love because I love the animation and I love the world that's in there, and you can keep playing and doing something. Yeah. If that makes sense. And I think that's what a lot of people do, is that because I know a lot of people are, level 20, which is 2120 is about where you can get to, unless you like started way in the beginning. And I think that's like, okay, we can continue playing this game and still have meaning here.
Have meaning.
Yes.
Wow. So people. People need meaning. Okay, that was very interesting. So now we actually know sort of the history.
Yeah. At least that's what I think. That's how it started.
Yeah. Could be. Yeah. But I've seen these competitions, and they're like interesting, and I do love there's the competition, because there's where you can actually find new accounts to follow. Yeah. Cece, now that you know the story, why do you think this has become such a big thing?
Well, I totally agree on that thing, that people want something to do. If they're already, done everything there is, then this is a great way to just expand on your experience and, find new friends and new things to do. It's always fun to try something new. And role-playing it's just fun, it's playing, it's fun, to just let your imagination run wild. And and role-playing is, it can be a really big part of Star Stable.
Yeah.
And And as I mentioned in previous episodes, playing Star Stable can be an escape from reality. And with role-playing, you are in control. So you can make your very own story. You're in total control. And that in itself can be a great escape. That you can write whatever.
Yeah.
You can have like this perfect world where everything is perfect. Or you can have kind of like within your experience and make your story, but pretend like someone else and stuff like that. So I just think that role playing in itself, it's cool. So
yeah, okay. And TC?
Do you know what I'm kind of curious about is what I've noticed this only in the last few days though, is people starting to almost roleplay against other roleplay accounts.
Oh.
Against or emerge into the same world?
Kind of emerge into the same world. Sort of what I mean is like they're not fighting.
Yeah.
That's not
What? Is there a war?
I was like, wow.
When that happens, I'll just be like, oh, it's turned into the real question world.
Yeah, well, that's dark times.
Dark times, yes. So, no, what I mean is, I noticed a couple of people are now standing stallions. And they will take a certain amount of requests, and then the RP account that they accept then will have a mare, and then they will obviously have a foal as a result of those two. So I thought that was interesting, because I was like, oh, okay, you're kind of bringing that in, and I thought that was interesting, and that seems to be how it's kind of developing further.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how many of them then take that foal, and then run through that foal into maturity, and continue with. I'm kind of curious to see that. If anybody does something along those lines.
Yeah, I've seen that too. It's very, very interesting. Also, it has started with selling horses. That people say like, this horse is for sale, and then someone goes and buys it and said, I bought this horse.
Yeah.
I'm always curious, like, do they actually go and buy the horse in the game, or do they already have it and want to add it into their story? But yeah, it's a great thing, and then, like, I mean, it's sort of cool than just saying like, oh, this horse just popped up. Like, it's actually sort of like the Marvel universe, but it is the Star Stable universe. I love this. It's so cool. But okay, it has become a phenomenon, and it's still growing, and it is amazing.
Yeah, I don't think even we've kind of like seen the I don't even think we've scratched the surface of this, so to speak.
It's so cool. We actually should speak to someone from Star Stable about this as well and see what they would.
I would love to know what they thought.
Yeah, I might actually ask them one day. Like, hey, what do you think? But okay. Next question: what makes a roleplay / realistic roleplay stand out to you? Let's start with Eve.
Oh, that is such a difficult question because there are so many roleplay accounts out there. For me, it's someone I follow people that I know are being unique to themselves, because there are so many of the same sort of stuff, and you can usually tell when someone is going for followers and going to create something, and I'm always going to the person that goes to create something, because you can just tell they have a story plan, they have their own world made up, and they've got somewhere they're gonna go, and they're not just gonna be like, hey, follow this, because that to me bugs me. It's like, because I 100% don't actually do roleplay for followers. Like, if you all unfollowed me, I'd be like, oh, that's sad, but I'm still gonna do it.
Of course.
But, so I don't know, for me, I can always tell when someone's more passionately into it. And I don't know. And I also really like people that try really hard with edits, because there are some like amazingly talented people out there that I'm just like, holy cow, how are you making this? I don't know. That's kind of what I lean towards.
Yeah.
I follow a lot of people though too, because I don't know. I'm just like, whatever. I'll see you.
Okay. Cece. What makes it stand out to you?
Well, I agree, like, some really good edits really catches your attention. Also because there's a huge difference between a picture taken in Star Stable and a picture edited from Star
Yeah.
Stable.
Yeah.
So if it's really good edited, then it really catches your eye, and then it continues that you like, oh, what is this? And then you read the caption and everything. That's like, oh, it's roleplay. Like, wow. So firstly, it's the visual, and then it's the writing. I am very particular. I kind of feel like a nerd, but I really like to see good writing, like no spelling mistakes.
Nice.
That's annoying me, and I feel silly, but that's really
That's
annoying me.
reality, people. People do get annoyed.
Yeah. So good spelling.
Yeah.
And just just good characters, good story. You know. Kind of like what we talked about in the previous episode with lore. That good characters that you can connect to, that you care about. Because no one's gonna read about the character they just find extremely unlikable and annoying. So good characters and good edits and good writing.
Yeah.
So then think of what happened to Loretta.
Wait, what happened to Loretta?
She was so mean.
Loretta has been made nice, apparently.
Oh, right, yeah. What happened?
I don't know how I feel about this.
Okay. I must be honest that the editing of the pig turns my attention to actually want to look at the text.
Yeah.
It's like sort of job hunting, or a recruit is opening the CV first. Is good, then they will continue reading and stuff like that. It makes me want to read what is going on. But I have to agree with you that the text is important. That you do have that you have a plan of a story, and that you make sure that your text is written with no spelling mistakes and so on. I do have to say though, I understand that it is difficult. I myself, I do study language, Swedish for this instance, and I struggle with writing myself, but I do want to give you all people some tips that is important. Have someone else read your text. Also, read it out loud so you can actually hear. It's better than just to read inside your head. Read it out loud. Have someone else to read your text. And especially if you are writing in a language that is not your own native, like for instance English is the big community language we have right now, and not all of us has English as the native language, it's the second language. So it is even more difficult to make it even better. And so try either if you have like a grown-up that can help you just read through it, or if you have a friend that can help you. But also keep in mind, like, this is supposed to be a story, it's not an academic text. Try to keep your voice still in there. This is very difficult, but try, and it is so important that you put this effort into the text, because this will bring the readers with you on this journey, basically. And so that is actually what makes a roleplay stand out, that you put in that work. And yes, it is a lot, not just the editing, the text is important. And TC,
for me, it is actually the pictures are probably the first thing that grabs me.
Yeah.
Like, as I said, I don't really follow much because it hasn't been something I've considered like doing, as I sort of said, until people were like, oh, would you do something like this? So as I said, I've been thinking about something that I'm going to work on possibly. But it's only, I guess, because Star Stable at the minute doesn't have much of an end game in terms that once you kind of get to that point, as you mentioned earlier, not really much to do. But I think if I'm looking through, pictures are going to be the first thing that grabs me. Like, even though there's certain things that I know, I will sometimes, like, as I said, because I'm getting like 30 or more suggestions of different things that come up on my feed now, nearly almost more than just regular posts. I'll even just scroll down, and even if I'm not following it, I'll just like pictures that I like, you know, because I really love art, and I do follow quite a few art accounts. So I guess for me, like, that is probably the first thing. The picture has to grab me. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be the best editor in the world, because this is the thing I think people need to realize is you don't have to go, well, I'm bad at editing. I'm just going to give up. It's not about that. I think if you go, if you're interested in editing, I think the first thing, if you're really inexperienced at it, is go and look at basic photography rules. Yeah. Because sometimes I just see screenshots in the game, but when they're really well done screenshots, like the way the horse is placed, the way it's like within the frame, basic things like that, that sometimes is enough to get people's attention. So I would like go and look up the basic rules, you know, of photography and what is appealing, and then just do little basic edits to start with, if that's all you're comfortable with, and then go from there, because I think it's something you're going to have to develop on. You know, nobody is like amazing overnight.
Exactly. It takes training.
So I think that's really important. And then I will agree with like the writing, because like too many spelling mistakes. I can understand maybe one. Like I'm guilty. Like my first language is English, and half the time I read back stuff that I read, and I'm like, or wrote, and I'm just like, oh wait, what? So definitely, I think that's another thing, because if the picture captures their attention, then you need to solidify it with a text. And if your text isn't there, you know, that's going to be an issue. I know we haven't really touched on the YouTube part. I am going to mention.
It's so big on Instagram.
Yeah, because it is so big on Instagram. One thing I want to say about the YouTube part of it, honestly, respect to the people that go to that length, because whenever people are doing, like, I have actually got slightly, because of this becoming so big, especially in the last few weeks, sometimes if I'm in the game and I'm just going about my day, I'm like, oh my goodness, what if somebody's here is doing a realistic roleplay and they're taking a video and I just run through shot? That's actually what's in my head because of doing YouTube. Like, I personally, because whenever I'm doing storyline and, you know, like Star Stable stuff, I don't really mind. Like, when I do my live streams, I don't care if people are there, you know, that, because it's an MMO. People are everywhere. But that's what comes into my head now. I'm like, oh, what if they're doing that and I've just ruined their shot and they're going to have to redo that?
I'm so sorry.
You know, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that as well. Yep. I'm like,
so,
Jesus, I'm so sorry. Okay, to like run around them, like, I'm not in your shot now, right?
Yeah. So I think that's another thing as well. It must be extremely frustrating for people who do that. Because they have to make sure everybody else is not in their way.
Exactly.
That is one thing that I do all the time, is I just ignore people, because I'm like, I need to get a picture.
Yeah, exactly. You're not here, you're not here, and I don't care. Bye.
Then afterwards, I always like look back and like, oh, okay, you're gone.
Yeah, like, no, bye. Well, I have to say I do that too. Even when it is a review. Like, no, you're not supposed to be in this shot. It's just me and this horse. Bye. So yeah. Okay. So that was that. Now you people got some tip what sort of stands out, or what is at least important to think about when doing a roleplay. Next question. There seems to be, and this is actually from one of the people that left a comment. Can't remember the name. I never wrote down. Sorry, but you knows this, you know. There seems to be some trends in how a roleplay story should be, like drama or tragedy. I think that is the most common genres right now. Should a new role player follow that trend or make their own story? Let's start with Cici.
Well, I definitely think that people should make their own story. Because it just kind of automatically becomes better that way, because you're more interested in it yourself if it's completely your own, on your own terms. Because if you just write something for people to make people like you and to be popular, then that will kind of show in the result, and then it just wouldn't be as good as if you're enjoying yourself, having fun. And also it would be so boring if everyone wrote like the same story.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, everyone has their own voice, and that makes their story interesting.
Yes.
So yeah, follow your heart, people.
Yeah,
exactly. Follow your heart. Oh, how cheesy. I have to say, doing roleplay is because you want to experience a life that isn't your own. We can't forget that role-playing sort of it didn't start on Instagram or YouTube. It started being actually like live, going out into the forest dressed as a Viking or something, and just forgetting who you are and having a own character. Like, we have that perspective, but in social media now. And so if you are living an undramatic life, then you probably will want your story to be about drama or action. If your life is filled with drama, I'm so sorry if that is the case, it is okay to write a story where you feel that you can relax and focus on other things. If you just want it to be like equestrian life, where you just want to write about your successes in competitions and your horses like that, that's okay too. But we can't forget that a story also must be intriguing, which means that drama, action, or romance and all those genres is what readers wants to read or see. So you have to like sort of keep it true to yourself and have that sort of balance. It can't be all drama and all that, because then it's just going to be depressing or something like that. It needs like its sort of gaps where it's just chill and more relaxing, and then something happens, and then it's okay. So it's difficult, but try to find a balance. That's what I think. What do you think, TC?
I think you're right in that regard, because if you think of, like, let's take most Netflix shows or just most TV shows in general.
Yeah.
Let's say they're all split into seasons. I would nearly even think if you were to be planning out what you wanted to do, once you've built your character and you know who they are, then go, okay, well, first season, let's split that into, I don't know how many posts, maybe 12 or however many you wanted.
Yeah.
And then go, okay, so what are they going to come up against in this time? And then how's that going to go into this next season? And what conflicts are they going to have? But also, you know, there's going to be better things that happen as well, because there's no show where it's just like purely smooth sailing. There's always going to be a little bit of conflict or something that goes in there, but not necessarily, you know, to the point where it's just nothing but conflict.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that I would suggest for anybody that isn't sure, is maybe look into something like script writing and how those are planned out, you know, just to help build, because I think that is the trap that some people will fall into, is just drama.
Yeah.
And that can become exhausting for the audience too.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's important to have those little builds of conflict. They don't necessarily have to be large conflicts. They just have to be, they can be small personal conflicts. You know, if we take something more dramatic, you know, you're saving the world, you know, there's different levels of conflict. So
or just Rambo getting lost. Rambo's got people.
Yeah. So, like, that's the kind of the thing that I mean, like, so, as you say, with Rambo getting lost, that's a conflict in a way, or something, an event that's kind of traumatic. So, I think it's, like, building on those, and it's not necessarily that you have to build up more and more trauma, it's just a case of that those different traumas are at different levels, and they're well-spaced in the right way. You know, it's not necessarily a bad thing to have maybe two kind of conflicts going on, or maybe a trauma and a conflict, necessarily, but just to kind of build on that. And I think that's important, because, you know, I know as sort of when you say, whenever you're reading something and you can tell that somebody's really thought about this and they've really thought about their character, because I'll tell you something now, and this comes from TV, the one thing I can't stand is plot holes.
Yeah.
I really can't stand plot holes. So if I'm watching something or I'm reading something and I can tell that the author or the writer has not thought about the different things. Like, I know this is not relevant, but if we briefly talk about Bird Box for 1 second, the reason I thought Bird Box was good was because every time I was thinking, oh, but what if they just do this? Then they can't see the thing, and then it'll not be able to harm them. They addressed it. Oh, but what if they did this? But then, and they addressed it, you know, even though they weren't going, oh, this is how we deal with this, it was like the characters found out over time trying different things. So for me, it's kind of that same thing. I want those things to be addressed, because you have to think, how's your, you know, because for example, if you had, I don't know, a storyline where something was happening and your reader goes, but what if they just do that to resolve it? You know, I think it's important that you think about those things and question why you're choosing that, because you need to understand that, I think, better than any reader's going to understand it. Because I know that maybe that's maybe overthinking it slightly, but like for me, I guess, I think that's important because then it shows that you've really thought about it and you know your character and you know your storyline and you know your universe, essentially.
Yeah, I can see where you're getting. Eve, what do you think?
You guys just hit on so many good things. I'm trying so hard to like not get.
What can I add?
Literally, you guys just explained like good creative writing. There's this thing called a story arc, and it is what all really good writers do. And especially with drama, is that you have to start out flat, and then you get higher, and you get lower, and then you go back high, and it just keeps doing that. And if you think of any good story, or any book, any TV show, any good writing, they will always have that. And that's what actually I strive really hard to do with mine, is that, because mine is very dramatic.
At the moment, it's very dramatic,
It is. But I try really hard to have really dramatic things and then really easy, like, just calm down, and this is just a normal life. And then all of a sudden there's drama. But I think with people starting, the really basic thing that they have to start with is their character, is just start out finding out who you want to play, who exactly this person is. You can't just immediately jump into something unless you have, you know, a story outlined or something. But if you're just starting out and not really sure, just go to competitions, just post normal things. And there's also two different types of play accounts where there is someone telling a story, and if you're telling a story, you've got to have that story arc. You've got to have, even if it's not super dramatic, you still have to have that arc. But then the other type of account that some people have is just like an equestrian account. If you've ever followed a real equestrian account, they'll be like, hey, this is me training my horse today, we just, you know, he was naughty, and that kind of stuff, or whatever. But so there's you have to make that decision of whether you want to do, you know, just a daily life of an equestrian, something more dramatic. And another thing with the drama is if you want to do drama, you've got to make it your own too. You've got to, it definitely needs to be an original thing, and you've got to, honestly, the biggest thing is you have to think. Thinking is the big thing in drama. Plan it out, take your time.
Especially take your time.
Take your time. And that's another thing, is people like stories that take your time and keep you on the hook. I've noticed that. There are some things that cliffhangers are great.
We love the cliffhanger. It's sort of like a hate and love relationship.
Yep.
I'm like, no, I hate it. And then, well, as I said. Okay. Good points. Next question. And we sort of answered this. Why do we always get to this point where I feel like we already answered it, but let's answer it anyway? Oh well. Is it important to edit your pictures? And I guess I'll start. I wish I could say that it isn't important, but thinking about what stories I follow, they all have some edit in it. I guess it is easier with YouTube, and I guess that is not, now thinking about it, because there you can cut and clip the parts that makes the story, but that is also editing as well. So for me as a reader, it is important with the edit. And as we said before, if you feel like, but I can't edit, so I guess I just give up. No. If you really want to do it, find your way and learn, because that is basically life. You have to learn stuff, and doing this, it's a fun way to learn new stuff. So go ahead and start learning. Have fun. So yeah, that's me. What do you think, TC?
I think it depends on what kind of RP you're doing. Like if it's something where you're going to be using equipment or set in circumstances that aren't necessarily in the game, I think you're going to have to do a lot more editing. So I think if for somebody who's maybe just starting out, possibly if you're not comfortable yet doing it, maybe pick something that you can do relatively easily, and maybe just very minimal editing to start with. Because I think if you're like, oh, I'm going to do this, and then you're like, oh gosh, but I'll have to edit all this, and you're just like, then you maybe never start.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that you decide your setting, so to speak, around maybe to start off with your skills. Doesn't mean you can't develop it further in the future to do something else, or maybe like if you finish a storyline and then you feel you have enough skills now to go and do a new one.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like, I don't necessarily think that would be a bad thing. So I think it's very important in that regard that you kind of like gauge that, because as Eve was saying about like real equestrian stuff, if you're just doing, you know, training my horse, you might not necessarily need to do anything massive, depending on where you set it in the game and what equipment you're using.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that you would have to think about.
Yeah, exactly. That is true. What do you think, Eve?
Honestly, I don't think it's important, but here's the thing. You still have to make your pictures eye-catching. I actually didn't start editing my photos, but my pictures were always very different from everybody else because I have an art background, but I use different angles. I use zoomed in things. I mean, I didn't just, you know, a lot of people do. You've got the square and your horse is right in the middle. I did stuff where you zoomed in, you know, just on the tack or things like that. And I think that's something that I think you just have to learn, is you just have to get a picture that actually catches your eye. I had to start editing because I had other things to say, so that I was like, okay, now I gotta make my horse do this. But so I don't think you have to, but if you want people to notice your photos, they have to be eye-catching. And that's the best thing with Star Stable photo mode too, is that you get the whole model and you can do whatever you want with it. Like you underneath it, you go on top. It's so fun. I love photo mode.
Yeah, I have to say. And also the animation and idols, like I have managed to stand outside my starter horse box, and this is the picture I'm like the most proud about. But stand outside, it was when I changed my starter horse the second time. And I was introducing him, and I managed to get a picture where my avatar was like, I think she was doing something, so she had her hand out, and at the same time my starter horse was going down or up with his head from eating, so it looks like he was taking something from my hand.
Exactly.
Managed to get that.
You have to have a lot more patience.
Yeah.
You're not gonna
someone asked me, like, how did you do that? It was like a lot of patience and so have fun.
And honestly, the people that can do that, actually, I feel like have a lot more talent, because then you have to really plan out. Yeah, okay, you have to know your horse goes down with his head and he does this specific move. So if I put my character here, he's gonna do this, and it's a lot harder, but really good.
It can happen. Okay. So okay, you don't think the picture is important, but yeah, of course, it has to be eye-catching.
Yes.
So yeah. Has everyone? No, Cici has an answer.
Yeah, I do agree with that you can actually get a lot of good photos with photo mode. But also, as TC mentioned, that it has its limitations based on what kind of scene that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Because some things just isn't in the game. So yeah, it kind of depends.
Yeah.
Also, it depends on what kind of feeling you want. If you're going for more serious, or if you're going like a comedic.
Yeah.
Then if it's in a more comedic sense, then you can get away with being, less professional, or how to say it. But if you're gonna go with a serious drama, then you kind of need to be more serious about it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of depends too.
I agree. So, do you heard it, people? It can be different. But the picture is still important, but it doesn't have to be edited. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. If you want to start with roleplay, does it need its own account, or can one mix the feed on, for example, Instagram, which is very interesting now since Eve, you only have that. So I take it that you don't really feel the need to post anything else, like you don't talk about the game in general.
I don't.
You don't?
I don't. For me, it's at least with Instagram itself, because you can't put things into different folders. So like if I had, my own life or that I put with it, it just gets too muddled. So for me, it's too confusing. And especially because there's a lot of things that go in my story. Yeah. And it's already confusing. So people will ask a bajillion questions. And it's just better to have your one thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But that is also interesting. Like, how do you then answer the questions in the story? Are you doing it as an author, or are you doing it as Evelyn?
Oh, like if someone leaves a comment?
Yeah.
No, I definitely answer as myself, as the author.
As the author. Okay.
Yes. Because that way I can clear up, like, a lot of people will ask, wait, but like, where was this? And I'll be like, look at this post. And,
okay.
But there will also be, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this, but a lot of people post on their stories, and you can ask questions to the actual characters. A lot of people have been doing that recently, and so even to like, you can ask your horses questions and things like that, and they'll be responded in that character.
Ah, cool.
I've seen a few people do that with the horses, actually. I quite liked some of those. I think it would be interesting if, I don't know if somebody's probably done this already, a roleplay completely from this perspective of the horse.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I've seen a roleplay YouTube video like that, and that was actually really good. It was quite sad because it was like the beginning of the horse story. Like, it follows a horse's story till the end when he passed away. So it was sad in the end because the story was
Spirit.
No, it's not Spirit. It was some other horse. It was a Frisian. It was very anyway, not Spirit. But let's see. Did you answer the question? If you want to start with roleplay, does it need its own account, or can one mix the feed on? So what do you feel, like you, for instance, you want to keep it to one, but what do you feel others, do you like follow accounts that do mix the story, other stuff?
I don't see anyone ever doing that. I think for me it would get too confusing for me.
Okay.
But I would, if you wanted to. Oh, no. Actually, one person that I remember, she does like some art stuff on the site, but like she just wants to do edits that don't have to pertain to her story. And I think she's actually pretty good. I don't know. If you want to, I don't know. You do your thing.
Yeah,
Follow your heart.
It's your thing. Like, this is only our opinions, people. You don't have to take them in. Remember that. I have to say that it is very hard to say. I think it is best to have an account that is only for the RP, and then have like another for other stuff that you want to post. I think it is easier for the reader, probably easier for the RPer for himself as well, and the feed will probably look good. Like, you can actually, if you look at feed with all the pictures, it will probably look better than have other stuff suddenly go into it. But as I said, it is up to you. Just that you make sure that when you have like an RP, that it is clear that this is an RP post. That is
yes.
I mean, you could maybe stylize it or something so that it's very obvious between your regular posts and your RP posts. I've seen some people do that where they use a certain style for the roleplay compared to their regular stuff.
That's smart.
Okay. So that was your answer, TC? Or do you have something to add?
The only thing I've done is I'm one of these people that don't like making my life more difficult, so I'm just like, if I was to start doing RP, I'd probably just go on my Instagram, but at the same time, my Instagram is a complete mess, and I didn't even know about themes when I started, and then I saw people doing them, and then I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm not going to do it, though, because my account is already a mess.
Yeah.
You can't fix that. So, I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah. It's just the way it is. Okay. Who answered? Now I lost it.
I haven't answered.
Okay, Cici. What do you think?
Well, I don't mind a mixed feeling. I mean, look at mine; it's all over the place.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, to each their own, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess if I would do it, I would be lazy and just have it on the same, you know,
Yeah.
on my regular.
Mm.
But yeah, I do think that what we mentioned right now about making your RP posts stand out with a different style.
Yeah.
That actually sounds really smart.
Yeah, I've seen a few people do that. It's just like, it's like whenever people stylize different art,
Yeah.
kind of like that. I've seen a couple of people do things like that, and you know,
Yeah.
I mean, my regulars, like if I look at some of my, I did a picture, I remember, where I edited sashes on a horse, and that was just because I want sashes in the game. I still want sashes and rosettes in the game, like, that we can buy. Because I'd love that. Because that's the only thing that I would absolutely adore, as like, it kind of, I guess, in a roleplay sense, is like, if I had a club event or something that I could buy rosettes and actually give them, like, award them to people,
Yeah.
I would adore that. So, like, I was just like, I want this. You know, make this happen. And I think that maybe was different to the rest of the stuff on my account, if that makes sense, in that regard. But it wasn't extremely stylized or anything like that. Like, I have seen people who have really, it's very obvious initially as you look, this is a different kind of post. And I think if you are going to mix it, maybe that's a good thing to do. Just to make it really obvious, because mine's just a mishmash of everything and every
Mine too.
little random thing.
Yeah, I have to agree. Even mine, very, very. I feel it's because maybe that I do such few posts of role playing. Like when I introduced Lelouch, my starter horse, for the first time. Like, it is like only those kinds of videos, and when I afterwards started to do like a thing where I talk about him coming with me so he learns how we work and all that stuff. There are so few that it feels like it's unnecessary to have like another account for that. But yeah, if you would really go into it, and it will be a lot of it, I would prefer to have a second account for it. But
Yeah, I think if you are and you're gonna do that, then that's like the thing, because like Eve, as you were saying, like, that's what you're building, like, kind of this universe. And I think if you're doing that, I think it is important to have it. Because I think then it would be too confusing. But like I just randomly post random stuff, and
I just post random things.
I just post random things, you know.
Everything is random.
There's no organization here.
No.
Sorry.
What is organization? Ah, boy. Okay. Now we have answered this question. So to the last question, where we are getting all our inputs, is should the world, and this is also from another who asked this, it's not from me, should the world that the player is creating be perfect, or should it have its flaws, just like the real world? That was very interesting. And I'm gonna answer with that it is hard to say what is perfect from the beginning. Something that is perfect to me might be something else to someone else. But if you want the drama or action in the world is going to need the flaws, basically. Perfect world doesn't have drama or stuff like that. That's what I think, anyway. So yeah, that's what I think. What do you think, Cici?
I agree. It's very much personal taste. But yeah, I prefer a story with ups and downs. Because if it's too perfect, then it's just boring. Because nothing happens. Everything is just good all the time. Then it's like, oh well, good for you, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't get into it as much.
Yeah, no. I see what you're getting.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think, TC?
Well, like, if I was to take, let's just say it'd be a storyline where somebody competes their horses, and that's basically what the account is about. You know, they go and do competitions. If they were to win every single competition, all the time, you just be like, there's nothing here. You know, oh, it's great your horse won, but this is fictional, so there's nothing really. you know, it's different. It'd be more like, for example, if you were somebody entering like the likes of Kensington and different, you know, all their competitions on there, and you were to win those consecutively, that would be more impressive.
Yeah.
But I think if it is that consistently perfect, because like that's just not, you know, gonna happen. You know, you can't really have that.
Yeah, no.
I don't think I think it doesn't build anything. It's just gonna be a flat storyline, and I don't think that's gonna add anything.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think, Eve?
100% should have flaws.
Oh.
It doesn't have to be a big thing.
Yeah.
But there has to be something wrong. Like, no one is perfect.
No one is perfect. Then there's something wrong with that.
Exactly. Like, and the feeling like excitement and accomplishment that comes from struggle and hardship is, I mean, if you're always winning, then it's just snooze. Like, who cares? You're not really doing anything. It's not something to follow. Yeah, you definitely don't have to be dramatic, but like, just look at like real life people. Take a horse out for a ride. That horse is not always perfect. A horse is a living creature. Yeah. Sometimes it just doesn't want to go out, and you get a really frustrated day, even if you just are trying to walk around a pen, and it's you have to have flaws, like 100%. There's no line. You have to have flaws.
It doesn't have to be
if you do
flaws,
it, you have to.
but there has to be flaws. Yeah. Okay. Good. That was all the questions I had for all of us. Or from the followers that at least saw my picture. So we're moving on to the questions to Eve. And listen up, people who are thinking about starting an RP or anything that want some tips, because here you are getting some. So Eve, did you believe that your account would do so well?
No. Not at all. Oh my goodness, no. When I started it, I was like, I am such a nerd. Look at this. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever done. But it really was. It was so funny. Like people just started following. I was like, why are people following me? Like, what is this? And I am like so appreciative of like everyone that does follow me, because it makes it so much more fun that people get so involved in my story. I mean, like, the reactions that people have when I do stuff, it just like makes my day. Oh my goodness, it's so funny, and I love it so much. But no, I started out just doing competitions because I wanted to do something artistic, and it was something on the side that I could be like, I can do it really quick, and it just it was super fun to do. And then it just evolved into something more, and I'm still amazed that like people are following this.
Oh, I'm not, because it's good.
Thank you.
Okay, so next question. How far ahead do you plan your story?
This was a hard question for me to answer, because I planned very far ahead. I don't know how do you measure time, but I will tell you that like hints of my story started literally, I think it is the 30th of October of last year, and I still haven't finished what I have had planned since then, if that makes sense. So it's a lot. I have a plan very, very far ahead.
Okay, basically, so I was thinking that it's not that you are thinking, oh, I have to post on Wednesday what will happen. You already know what will happen. Okay, good.
Yes.
So, plan far ahead, people.
With my story too, I've made it flexible enough that like if I want to do a competition, I go do that, and I don't have like a set, I'm gonna post this day and this day and this day. And maybe people get frustrated with me for that, because sometimes I'm kind of lazy about posting. But we haven't reached the end, and it'll get there someday.
Will there be an end?
No. Maybe, I don't know. I know, like,
will you start a new RP?
I don't know. That's a good question. That is. Maybe there won't be an end. That I have not decided. That is how far I haven't planned.
Okay. Never know that. Okay, so here is now a question that I came up with, because I feel like this is something that people tend to ask. Mm-hmm. How many horses should one use for play?
Oh.
That is 100% like a matter of preference, but in my opinion, you could start with like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
A lot of people put in a lot because editing one horse can honestly get boring after a while, and it's like, I want something else. But when you have so many horses, it's like multiple storylines, and you just it gets too confusing, and after a while you get really bored of reading it because you're like, I don't remember what that horse is. Like what does that horse have to do? For me, I think you should start with 1 or 2, and if you feel comfortable and you can keep like a story going, like with me right now, I got rid of my 2 horses because I'm like, because now I have 3, and 2 of them are kind of, I mean, they're babies, so it's like you can't really do anything with those. So now I really have back to 1 horse, and it's a lot easier for me because it's just you can develop that relationship with that horse and keep a story going with them. So
yeah, I was thinking that it's the matter of what should the story be about. Is the story about the character, or is the story about the horse?
And a lot of people, like if they want a lot of horses in their RP, then they focus more on the character development and maybe the trainer, and they just ride a lot of different horses, and it's not about the horse, it's about the person.
Yeah.
Where mine is more about the relationship of the horse and person together.
Okay. Interesting. So keep that in mind, people, when choosing horses. What is your favorite thing about creating a character for roleplay?
Definitely figuring out their personality. Like that's the best part of making characters. It's so fun. Like for example, Evelyn, who's my main character, she's really quick to show emotions, and she's super emotional, and she's if something goes wrong, she pops into action like no matter what. She like kind of doesn't really think, she just goes and kind of follows her heart. Where her friend Wes he's a little more logical and quiet, and will usually think for a bit, doesn't really say his opinion until he knows like what he thinks is right to do. So it's so fun to have different personalities or conflicting personalities, and that is definitely the best part. I love it.
So do you think it is important to figure out the character's personality and not just go with it?
If you're starting out and you're not really sure, try playing as that's where don't get into your story. Just play as your person, and then once you figure out how you like to act or how you like to have that person be, then you've got to set who they are, because that's the other thing too, is that if you're a super wishy-washy person, although maybe that's your person's character, is that they're super wishy-washy and don't have a backbone, but that has to be your personality.
Okay. And also, now I'm adding this question that I haven't sent to you, because I realized this is actually quite interesting. So as you said, Evelyn is your main character on the SSO, and she lives on Jorvik, and like she's all that. She has her background story, she has a story that is going on right now. How are you putting that into perspective that she's also a soul rider and is going to save the world from God?
I haven't.
Like now you're like, oh.
In fact, like Evelyn on the game and Evelyn in Instagram are like 2 completely different people.
Okay.
Like just not even like, related. But it's funny whenever like I do. Now that I've created my story, whenever I play Star Stable, I'm always like, well, I have to ride Teton now. Like he's my favorite. I can't ride it anymore. And so now it's almost like, man, how would Evelyn react if like Alex was like this? She'd probably be like, Alex, get a grip. But
that's really interesting. Do you think it should be important to, or is it okay to create a character that is not really in the Star Stable universe? Is it okay
I think that's what most people do. They take the actual, like the literal world Star Stable, but the lore and everything else gets thrown out the window. It's just like, nope. There's some people that will use like characters, like someone I think is like dating Justin Moreland or something like that, or something that they'll include them, but they'll keep them in a realistic aspect. So it's not, or they'll make their own personality with them. I know another person that is like super best friends with Alex. Alex said, although you know what, she might be including the Star Rider line or the Soul Rider line in it. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm excited.
Oh boy. Okay. But I have to say that I sort of, since I said I did some role playing, I am keeping that Rose Shadowlee is a sole writer and keeping to that story, since the series is called The Everyday Life of Rose Shadowlee. It's more like this is what happens when she isn't going on quests and so on, like rambling getting lost.
See, and I love that. Like that would be really good. You should make a real account because that would be legit.
Now, then I would have to start editing, and I am not doing that. It is okay to be on YouTube. You just have to watch my videos.
Okay. Will do.
Like, I'm not gonna start editing. That's your I'm not going there. I don't have the patience for that. But okay. Last question, and I think now this is what people need if you want to start an art piece. Any tips and tricks on how to get started, like planning, what editing program to use, and so on. Go!
Oh, there's so many things. Okay, hold on. I gotta get ready for this. Okay. Oh, man. Honestly, there's nothing like just like throwing yourself into the fire. Like, just, if you want to do it, my biggest tip is just to start in competitions, because those are the ways that you can A, get noticed, and B, kind of figure out how the community works. And with that, at least for me when it happened, I could develop again that relationship with my horse and my rider. You can figure out, if you actually like editing that horse, if you like, because that's one thing that there are some horses that it's like, oh, this could be fun, but like the foal, those are the worst things to edit. They are, oh my goodness, if you want them, they are so bad. I love them, but they're so hard to edit. But that thing where you just got to try. You just got to start going. And if you are editing, I use Photoshop CS6, but I started literally like 10 years ago when I was super, super young. And there's some things that you just have to kind of learn. I use tutorials, and that's the one thing too, is that you're not going to be perfect at the very beginning. Don't get frustrated. Like, start small. If you really want to get into editing, like even when I was first editing these pictures, I just started like drawing in bridle, putting in reins so she held them more correctly, and those are the little things that just start. You start getting more confident, and then you start doing bigger repositioning of the horse's legs, maybe just his head, but the big thing is don't get frustrated and don't compare yourself with other people, because there are people that have used these programs forever, and they're gonna be better. That's just, I mean, there are people way better than me that are editing, and it's just what you have to get used to.
I don't think so, but okay.
Oh, thank you. But if you want to start with your story too, what's a good tip for that? Honestly, watch movies and read books. Okay. Look at the characters that you really love, like that you connect really deeply with, and analyze why. Yeah. Like Harry Potter. Harry Potter is a big one for me. Yeah. But you have to look at why you like, Lupin. Lupin is really cool, and it's because he has a lot of conflict inside of him. Yeah. And he, in the end of the book, he becomes almost heroic because he overcomes like his challenges that he has and that sort of thing. So if you really want to get a character that is satisfying and makes you feel good, because that's the one thing too, is you got to do roleplay for you. Yeah. Like, if it's not fun for you, change it. But if you're making your character and it's not working, just try another. Look at the ones that you love on TVs, on whatever books that you love, and model it after that. Don't make your story the same, but model your character after that.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you guys have like questions? Like, if you were to start?
I just realized like a lot of RP that has gone for like a long time. You have like this chapter stuff that comes in. Do you feel those are really good to have if you have like a really long story, or is it not really important? Is it more for you?
That, I think I actually kind of started that trend, and that happened because I needed to... Actually, let me look really quick. My first chapter, I think, was because that was the big event when Belle got stolen, and that was the big turning event of my whole story.
Yeah.
Everything was going great, and then boom, she was gone. And that was when it was like, okay, now I need a fresh start to kind of like show how my character's feeling and kind of restart for people.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people use the chapter, but it's not necessarily it. If you do it, I think it has to be like a chapter in a book where it's like a new thing, like, okay, restart, because that's what a chapter is to kind of refocus you, get you in a new place.
Yeah.
So you can do that, but whatever.
And do you others have any questions?
Oh wait, I do have a tip for like editing and stuff.
Yeah.
Is use references. Like there's a big, I mean, you have the whole internet. And there are literally tons and tons of horse anatomy and just those kind of things that even photography wise, like if you just type in horse photography and you wanted to try that, like you can just look at really pretty pictures and you can get really angles and things that will catch your audience's eye, like what we were talking about earlier, that even with editing you can get an angle that way and just use those references to make you a better artist, because in the end the photos are an art form. It's a strange art form, but it's different. It's art.
I think some people kind of forget that actually, because I remember doing stuff about landscape photography a really long time ago, and it was like having something small in the foreground, like a rock. Like for example, if I was taking a picture of a mountain in the background, you could just take a picture of the mountain. But if you took a picture of the mountain slightly from behind, like maybe a small little thing of stones, it suddenly made it much more monumental. And I remember trying that out, and it made such a difference. It was such a little thing. And I think that is it, like, if you're not comfortable doing editing yet, look at that. Look at photography and the art of photography and how to take things and angles, and look at horse photography, because when you see really good horse photography versus just a snap, there is just such a difference, such a, like a, you know, what catches your eye and what doesn't.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, and there's things like if you're taking a jumping, I mean, most people just take it to the side, you know, you see the whole horse's profile, and it's, you know, it's a nice jumping photo, but you can get so much more dramatic just in tilting it, you know, underneath, where it looks like that horse is vaulting over this massive thing. Or you can take it from a point where it's like, I don't know, there's so many different things that you can do with your actual photography. And I actually have to catch myself with that, because I'll be so caught up in my story that I'm not paying attention to my edits. And that's what I love most about it, is I love making these pictures. And so there'll be times I'm like, okay, step back, I've got to look at, is this actually a good picture, or is it just a good edit? Is it just me editing horses' legs? Yeah.
Okay. I actually have one question for all of us, and that is, I've noticed that it is very usual to, like, for all RPs to use the same horse in their RPs. Like recently is this the Jorvik warm blood liver chestnut.
Yes.
Everyone uses that horse. And I have actually, I believe I've had someone ask me, it hasn't been asked for this episode, but I've heard, I believe someone asked me what I think about it. And I've always gone like, of course you should go with a horse that you want to use, and if it happens to be a horse that everyone else is using, tough luck. But isn't it sort of at least to try and have a horse that isn't that used? What do you guys think?
I think that's interesting, actually, because I love that horse. I'm just going to say that now. I love it, but I didn't buy it because we all know we can't do that to Ginger Cake.
Okay.
But I kind of got Klein, and he's kind of similar, but he's a Lusitano, and I love it. So yeah, I think that's actually an interesting point. They've got so beloved now that they are kind of the go-to horse.
Yeah.
I suppose I would nearly think Turkiner as well is kind of another go-to.
Very much.
I don't know if I've seen many RPs using ponies.
I just found one that is using Icelandic horses. But the fun part is she's not really using the Icelandic horses because she doesn't like the Icelandic horses in the game. So she's using a Jorvik pony, but just stretched out the legs. And it does look like an Icelandic horse, but as you are a game player from Star Stable, you know what that actually is. But it's a very good edit.
Yeah.
And that is Celine Akar. I found her today. So yeah, that is yay! Finally, Icelandic horses. But yeah, other than that, it's like no ponies. I've seen someone that has like a pony for fun, but it's not really the main, I think. But yeah,
I think a lot of the time people use the same horses is because of the realistic aspect and the animation. The newer models are just a lot better. At least they look a lot more. They move a lot more real.
Yeah.
I personally love the challenge of like the older ones. Like I really want to add Morgan or something like that because I think I've always loved the Morgans. They were super cute when I first started, but
But now
they're just a lot more work to edit and do that sort of thing. So with the newer horses and newer models, and because the colors aren't, I mean, there's definitely the popular colors versus the like not as popular. So it's, I don't know. You can use whatever horse you want, but I love seeing different types of horses.
Yeah. I think I would be more inclined to start following an RP now that has a different horse. Yes, because it is a different horse. A big change to the feed otherwise.
It definitely gets old seeing the same horses.
Yes. So yeah, that's what I had for a question. Do we have any more tips or questions to give?
I got nothing.
If you have any more questions, please leave them in the description, or please leave them in a comment below, and TC will either tag Eve or send it
Definitely.
and see.
Perfect.
Yeah. So you will get your answer if you didn't get it here. And also I want to thank everyone who did send questions to my post on Instagram. I'm also glad that it did become a thing. It did help a lot to make this episode for me since I'm not that big on role playing. So have the questions did help, and I think we are going to continue doing this for future episodes and topics. Because it was very helpful for me in such stressful times. But we are leaving the topic then. We might return to it, but actually maybe in the next episode about role-playing will be more focused for role-playing in the game. Because that is also starting to become a big thing. But we are leaving this now. And we are going to our favorite and least favorite update of April. Stuff has happened, but not that big. It hasn't been like questing stuff, but there has been stuff. So let's start with TC. What was your least favorite update of this?
My least favorite, I think, out of everything, was probably the fact that the golden Easter eggs during the Easter event didn't have an outfit, or the kind of added on to what we got from the other part of the hidden eggs, because the hidden eggs you got some outfit.
Yeah.
But the golden eggs just give food items. And with how tricky they are to find, I was kind of a little bit disappointed that we didn't get a tack set with the stuff that we got from the 12 hidden eggs. So I think that was my least favorite thing, just because it was just food items.
Yeah. Okay.
And when I sold them, they sold for like a shilling each.
Yeah. True.
So, yeah.
Okay, but what was your favorite then?
I think if I had to pick a favorite, it's gonna have to be the Jorvik Open House arena.
Yeah, that was
I love the arena. I wish we could keep it.
Yeah.
Or just how why can't we keep it? You know, just putting that out there. I don't mind if it's somewhere else. I want to keep that.
Yeah, something
it's
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's stunning. it would be great for just doing competitions and things, because I really desperately wanted to do something and we didn't have time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really sad that it's gone already. And I like the outfits. It's been a while since I've actually bought an entire outfit, and I bought both.
Ooh.
The red and the cream, which was ouch when it came to Starcoin. But it was a gold tipped top hat. I wasn't going to say no.
Yeah.
So that was my favorite.
Okay.
And I want it back
Yes.
now.
Can we have it back? It doesn't have to be all the roses. We just want this sort of arena.
Yeah, with the nice little letters and things. Yeah.
Yes, especially the letters. How much have I not requested it for months? Okay. Cece, what's your least favorite of the month? So you can't say a language.
What?
Don't you remember the time you couldn't pick one, so you said Danish?
Oh yes, I'm so sorry. No. I'm so sorry, Demer.
You have to pick one.
Yeah. Well, I kind of agree with Tisa on this one, that the egg hunt, it just felt a bit short, and I did miss, you know, it just felt like when you collected the things, the clothes from the small eggs, it just kind of felt like it wasn't really a whole set, like there was some missing.
Yeah.
And I would really like to see attack set too.
Yeah.
And yeah, going after the golden eggs, it was just...
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, I wanted more.
Yeah. As always, we always want more.
Yeah.
Okay, and your favorite?
It was also the Jorvik Stables open house.
Yeah.
Because I've always loved the Jorvik Stables, and it used to be my home stable for many years.
Yeah.
Up until Mistfall, because I don't know. Yeah. So I really liked that they really went all out and made a lot of new things with the open house. One of my favorites was the petting zoo with Andy. Yeah, it was so cute and adorable, and it was just so relaxing to just go there and just pet some cute animals.
Okay.
And Andy's new look is so cute.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah. It's better.
Did you speak to Loretta? Or not Loretta, what am I talking about?
Anne? Yes,
no,
I spoke to Anne.
I couldn't find her. I actually got a DM about it. It was like, did you find Anne? Where is she? I was like, what? I didn't know
she was up by the championship.
Yeah, she was up above the petting zoo, because I was like sat. I think I was looking at the animals.
Yeah.
And then I looked up and I saw somebody standing
Yeah.
by Anne, and I was like, hold on. And I went up and I started speaking to her, because she was the only NPC that I spoke to.
Yeah, okay.
But I listened to the entire dialogue. I was like, this is really interesting. And then I was wondering, were the other soul riders there? But I didn't see them.
No, they weren't. I couldn't find them, at least. But yeah, it was very interesting conversation with her. They are really building her character up, so to speak.
I thought I missed it.
Yep. Big thing.
I think I did put it in my update video.
Yeah,
as far as I remember.
I did not.
Yeah, no, I read the dialogue out, I think, on my update video, so it is there. But
I talked to everybody else, but I'm
offended.
so sad.
But also, I want to take a moment, like, could we, like, just say that this was sort of my festival, because there were, like, roses everywhere.
Yeah.
I came in, I was like, is this for me? Of Star Stable? You shouldn't have. Oh, so many roses. Okay, Eve, what was your least favorite update this month?
They were all so good.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was kind of bored with the potato festival. Like, it was just kind of all the same stuff. I like talking to the end.
Yeah.
But, like, in the end, like, the reward was super snooze, and, and, like, it's like, okay, bake another potato. I have to teach me how to bake a potato again, because I haven't made one for a year, but...
Well, I would have to be taught. Never remember. But it's still a snooze, I have to agree.
But, yeah, it was kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
That one I could have been like, whatever. You could have skipped that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I didn't realize you could actually go and talk to the NPCs. I only did it afterwards.
Mm.
I went and talked to Z.
Yes.
And had
That
a
was
great conversation with Z.
It was really fun to talk to her, because if you kept talking on her, she would eventually be really irritated and be like,
Yeah.
And leave.
We ran off. It was so funny.
That was
Like, okay, bye. Okay, what was your favorite?
Honestly, probably the car stable.
Favorite balls.
That was awesome.
I just loved that. I wish you could have seen like other people's cars, because I would have just like been.
Same.
Yeah, that was actually something I missed. I wish I could.
I thought that was super funny.
Yeah.
Did you take advantage to take tons of pictures for?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on actually both accounts. Least favorite was the potato, because it was all similar. Like, it was a big plus that you could talk to NPCs.
Yeah.
And this thing about that Emma and
Mudskipper?
not Mudskipper, Emma and the girl she keeps hanging out with. I keep getting her name. They keep Sonia. That they keep talking about a club. And I'm starting to think that this is actually going to be a thing that we will have to do in the future.
Yeah, probably.
If they keep nagging about it, I'm like, oh, come on. Just start it. And that it is going to be like the Clash of the Titans soon. So that was a plus with the least favorite. Other than that, it was just same, and the reward was a potato. Yay.
Yeah.
That we still can't feed to our horses, or we can, but yeah, no. But my favorite was April Fool's cars. I had a real laugh that day, that night, when I managed to get home and try out. I was just riding around my car and jumping. I love to jump. I was jumping everywhere because I was driving. I was like, "It's a car. Can it even jump?" Hit spacebar and it jumped.
Yeah.
It was the best. I wish we could see like every April Fool's. We need to have a car day where we can go. Yeah. That was the best. So yeah.
I loved all the puns that they did in like the announcement too. I was just cracking up, like the soul drivers.
Yeah,
The car knock.
all in on that. It was so much fun. Like, yeah, we're just leaving horses. We're gonna go on horse now. Car stable. Oh, amazing. Okay, going forward to our monthly wish, and as usual, I am a generous person and gives 2 to our guest and only 1 to ourselves. Because I'm not that generous. Maybe if we have a birthday or something, someone can have 2. But let's start with you, Eve. What are your 2 wishes?
My 2 wishes. The first one, 100%, is I just like want a top knot hairstyle. I just want a bun on the top of my head because that's how I usually am.
Okay.
Just some good hairstyles. Like, give me some more hair.
Yeah, we need more hair.
Especially because lately they're so cute. Like, they've done so good with the new.
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah. More hair in the game.
The second one, I really think it would be awesome if they would make the foals pets. Then they could just run around with you and you could have a baby horse following you.
Oh,
I would love that.
Grow up.
Yes. It would just be cute baby horse following you.
Okay. Well, why not? We already have baby.
And also because then I could edit them and it'd be really easy.
Yeah, yes. Everything is for our own benefits, okay?
Yes.
We're all egoistic there. Okay, good wishes, good wishes. Cece, what is your monthly wish?
Well, I want to continue on the theme with our character models, and like I would like to see our characters being updated, because I love the new look of the Soul Riders.
Yeah.
And they look really good, and they have such vivid facial expressions that I miss in our character, because our character is kind of like half smirking, and then she kind of follows you with her eyes.
Yeah.
That's creepy at all. She kind of has like that expression.
Yeah.
So I would love to see more just more, a moving face.
Imagine how creepy it would be if they would smile with teeth and still follow you.
No.
So I'm like, do we really want it?
Yeah, I guess it would be a lesson and a curse.
Yeah, so I'm like, this is gonna be interesting.
Because I think that would also be a big plus in role playing, like taking pictures or just playing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But, yeah,
although people that can edit can do very nice expressions.
Oh yeah.
Like that's.
But I want to see it on our character too, because if our character keeps looking like this, and then the soul riders and the NPCs looks way better,
Yeah.
then
Hello, and our horses look better.
Yeah. So it's like, come on.
What about me? Moving forward to TC's wish.
I'm gonna go with having an arena like the one that we got at Open House somewhere more permanently, or because I think actually in the game we kind of need more than one or two dressage arenas.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think especially with RP, I think becoming more popular, more people are doing like dressage and things like that. And like when I noticed when I was in the writing hall yesterday, there was a lot of people from various different clubs. So I think it would just be nice to have more options.
Yeah.
Because like the writing hall is more good for like having, I guess, a lesson, whereas like the one at what we had at Open House, that's a really good competition one.
Yeah.
Because the one issue, I guess, with the big riding hall is the fact that it's so large that when you're watching a routine, it's hard to see it from a distance sometimes. So I think it would be really nice to have something like Open House Arena, because it was just a nice size and you could see what people were doing really easily on that one. So I think I'd like that somewhere.
I would say that my wish is the letters, but I have to say another wish now that I've been struggling with since I am working and coming home not late, but usual hours when working, and not being able to record until like 7-8 p.m. Fix the goddamn light.
Oh wow.
I'm furious. Like, it was fun and it's such a nice little sunset, but it's not working for me.
Yeah.
The sun is going down around 9 or 10 p.m. when it is summer here up in north. So, no. Fix it, please.
I know that they kind of did it so more people could experience the later part of the game, but for recording, it's not really ideal. Like, it's fine in photo mode when you're just taking pictures because you can change it whatever time of the day you want, but it's not so great.
And why would you want to experience night? And if you do, then wait until the weekend when you can stay up later.
Yeah.
Okay. We lived with it before. Did anyone complain?
I didn't, so I don't know.
Who complained? I want to talk to that person. That person doesn't know anything. Okay, it's just me being frustrated. I don't mean it. I apologize if I mean, but I'm frustrated. So that is my wish. Fix the time. Okay, leaving that. Okay, so I guess we're actually done with this month's episode.
Yes.
Or did anyone get come up with a question or something?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay, then first we want to thank you, Eve, for joining us for this episode.
Thanks for having me. This was super fun.
Yes, it was so much fun having you and actually get to hear what it is to be like a real RP. And to get the really good tips if anyone out there is willing to start one. And to actually just discuss this phenomenon, because it's huge.
Yeah, because I just felt like when we were starting this, I was like, I don't really know anything.
Then you do.
Yeah, I definitely do.
So we had great fun, really, really good episode. So yes, thank you, Eve, for being able to join, even if you are in Utah and it is very, very late and early for you at the moment.
I'm awake now. This is great. Great to wake up.
Perfect. So yes, and as I said before, people, we are going to continue releasing the topic for next episode earlier, so that we can ask for what you would like for us to talk about in the episode. So we'll try and do that like at least a week beforehand, 1 or 2 weeks beforehand we start recording. So keep an eye out during May. I will probably be the one that will post and ask, and the other two will share.
Yeah, I'll share it again.
Although you are allowed to ask as well, you two. It's not just me.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you everyone who joined in on us today, and hopefully we will see you at the end of May. Remember to stay awesome as always, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.